Yes, this is John G. Sutton, and today I'm going to talk a little bit, not about the prisons, but about the paedophiles, and specifically a paedophile called Jimmy Saville. Now, on Netflix, there is a documentary that's called A British Horror Story, Jimmy Saville, A British Horror Story, which recounts how Jimmy Saville went from being a DJ in Leeds to becoming possibly the best known light entertainment individual in Britain, when he was doing things like a TV show, Jim'll Fix It, and various other stupid things that he did. Now, I have met Jimmy Saville. I was a long distance runner myself as a younger man, and it was at the Bolton Marathon, Bolton in Lancashire, and it was a standard marathon, 26 1/3 miles, something like that. And right at the start, we were all lined up to go, and Jimmy Saville was there. He was just standing next to me virtually, just jogging around, But he had a big cigar. Imagine having a big stupid cigar and going off to run 26 miles. He wasn't a particularly fast runner. I left him miles behind. But that was the only time I met Jimmy Saville, was when he was a marathon runner. And he wasn't particularly fast, as I said, but I don't think he was really bothered about that. He was doing it for publicity and to raise money for charity, so he said. But basically what he was doing was promoting the brand Jimmy Saville. Yeah, Jimmy Saville's a nice guy, but Jimmy Saville was the worst kind of sex offender there is. I mean, he wasn't just interfering. Watch the documentary, by the way, A British Horror Story on Netflix, Jimmy Saville. Yeah, he wasn't just interfering with young girls or anybody. He was interfering with anybody, interfering with 5-year-old little boys, interfering with girls aged 11, 12, 13 who were locked up in an institution called an approved school, yeah, for wayward teenage girls, yeah. And he was taking them out in his Rolls Royce and interfering with them on a regular basis, yeah. Now, you wouldn't have to be a genius to know that if an adult man in his 40s is taking out 12-year-old girls in his car, then he would, and he's doing it on a regular basis, different girls every time, then you'd know that there was something seriously amiss. I would know, and I wouldn't allow it myself. Another thing I know about Jimmy Saville, he was reasonably close friends with a pop singer called P J Proby. Now, I knew P J Proby. For a time, I was his manager, and at the time that I became his manager, I'd written a song for him, and we recorded an album together. Well, together, I wrote some of the songs and directed the album, and generally got him bookings and put him into a summer season at Blackpool, got him on TV, got his records distributed into the record shops. And no sooner had I done all this than he phoned me up one day and said, "John," because he spoke like that in a stupid imitation. Well, it wasn't an imitation, he was a Texan. He was from Houston, Texas. And he phoned me up and he said, "John, you come meet my new wife, I'm getting married." So I said, "I'll come and have a look, Jim, So I went up to his house. He was living in a house in Bolton, on the back streets of Bolton, actually. I went to see him in his house, and there was a lady in there. She was about 42, I reckon, something like that, early 40s. And I said, hi, nice to meet you. My name's John. I'm Jimmy's manager. He's got a new record coming out, and I believe you're getting married. And he jumped up. Jimmy was sat down and he goes, Jim, his real name was Jim. Yeah, he jumped up and he said, that's not my wife. I said, well, you invited me to meet the lady you're going to get married to. He said, that's not my bloody wife. He said, this is my wife. And out of the kitchen came an 11-year-old girl. Seriously. So I said to the lady who was 42, I mistook for who was going to get married, it was the mother of this 11-year-old girl. I said, oh, really? I said, it's all set up. He said, oh, yeah, he showed me this brochure of this hotel where they were going for their honeymoon. Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. And they were going to get married. He got it all set up. And his mother, the girl, this girl was all for it. It's only like about 6 weeks away, 4 weeks away, something like that. I said, well, this is quite really something, I'm pleased for you, Jim. I said, that's this lady. I said, would you like one of Jim's new records? Oh, yeah, she said, I absolutely love it. I said, well, they're due out next week, I think. They told me at the print, the press where they're pressing them. I said, if you give me your name and address, I'll send you them. Send you one. Oh, great, that would be fantastic. So she gave me a name and address. As soon as I got out of there and got home, I was on the telephone to the duty social services officer in the town where she lived, because she didn't live in Bolton. She lived in Doncaster. I won't tell you her name, but she lived in Doncaster. So I phoned up the duty social services officer and reported this child, this 11-year-old girl, as being at risk. She was being groomed by Proby and by her mother, yeah, to be his sexual partner. Now, Proby justified all this by saying, oh, there's no such thing as underage girls. They know what they're doing. They know what they desire. And for some reason, he says, and these young girls, they desire me. So he said, I'm absolutely happy to go along with that. He said, and we're very happy together. And he was telling me what a great friend he was with Jimmy Saville. And he used to go to Jimmy Savile's house. He had a place in Leeds, I believe, where he used to go and stay with Jimmy Saville, because Proby for a time lived just outside Leeds, somewhere near Huddersfield, I believe, yeah, when he was, believe it or not, working on a farm. And he eventually ran away from that farm with the farmer's daughter, who was at the time 14, I believe, or maybe 15, and went through a form of marriage with her at Gretna Green. Of course, it wasn't a real marriage, they just play at it, but nonetheless, that hit all the papers, yeah. He was a strange character, I tell you. Anyway, subsequently to this, when I went to see Proby the next time, he came running out of his house with a Bowie knife that must have been about this long. Big Bowie knife like that, yeah. Serrated edges. And he come chasing after me. He came running up to my car. I'll murder you, you bastard, interfering in my life. I tried to tell him, that if he'd gone ahead with this idea of getting married to an 11-year-old child, then he would have been imprisoned for paedophilia. But he wasn't all that keen on listening to that story. But believe it or not, listen, don't just take my word for it, don't. Go on to... you can listen to the song that I wrote for him. Listen, I'll see if I can get it now. Yeah. Alexa, play P J Proby, Stage of Fools.
Here's Stage of Fools by P J Proby on Amazon Music.
This is the song I wrote for him. Some friends tell me I'm still the same. World keeps turning. Was I to blame? I took all the chances, wrote all the news. Then I will stay. dreams and dreamed tonight. I played my part, my heart, then I fell on this stage of fools. Alexa, stop. So there you have it. So you can hear all of it if you want. Just ask Alexa to play that for you. And it's called Stage of Fools by P J Proby. And Proby was adamant that there was no such thing as underage sex. He believed that young girls were attracted to him, and that's the way it went. And I imagine that Jimmy Saville was just the same. He didn't believe that there was anything wrong with interfering with little boys and persuading girls to have sex with him when they were physically incapacitated. As for the necrophilia, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, means somebody who has sexual relations with a corpse. And he was doing that. Now, I've worked in institutions for the criminally insane at Ashworth, and believe me, if somebody wasn't there who was properly medically qualified, I was medically qualified, I had the certificate of practice and nursing from the Home Office, and I'd been through numerous exams and to the schools and all that, seconded to the NHS and all the rest of it. So I was absolutely qualified. I wouldn't have allowed him anywhere near them. And no matter what anybody had told me, I still would not have allowed him. He is not qualified. He's not doing this. And as for him being in charge, not a chance. Anyway, watch it on Netflix and be absolutely horrified with the idea that somebody could get themselves into a position where they could manipulate young people who were too frightened to actually make a complaint. And listen, you may say to yourself, well, how could this possibly have happened? Let me tell you this. When I blew Proby up to the social services, suddenly everything shut down. He wouldn't promote the recordings. He wouldn't go on radio, wouldn't go on the television, wouldn't do press interviews. He completely abandoned the project. So all the money that had been put in to producing this album was gone, because you couldn't get it on the radio. I had numerous offers from television companies to get him on to sing the new songs, but he wouldn't do it. And to this very day, he has never performed any of the songs on the album, which is called Thanks, by the way. The CD album is called Thanks. You can buy it on Amazon. You can listen to it on Apple or Spotify or whatever you've got. Amazon Music, you got it, it's there. It's out there, but he's never promoted it. And not only that, not only did the doors close on working with Proby, the doors closed all round. Instantly that I blew the whistle, I was persona non grata. Don't deal with it. That is why Jimmy Savile got away with it. That and the fact that he was a 33rd degree Mason, associating with the likes of Prince Charles, Prince Philip, and despite what you may think about the royalty, and I personally believe that the Queen has done a brilliant job, but all the rest, well, if the brains were on fire, I wouldn't piss in their ear hole. Thank you very much. Watch it on Netflix. Savile, Jimmy Savile, A British Horror Story. Indeed it is.